is Suze Mildenhall and I am a trained RESTA practitioner. I was first attracted to the RESTA programme when I came across Dr. Esther Borrett talking about the programme at a senior mental health lead event. I was a teaching assistant in a high school, but also training to be a certified senior mental health lead, and I just completed my ELSA training as well. And what attracted me about RESTA was that it seemed like the provision that I knew I needed, having worked in the school for a while, one-on-one with students, group interventions, and RESTA seemed to tick the boxes in terms of being trauma aware, very sequential in its approach, but completely personalised and able to personalise it and make it a real sort of student-centred programme. And I wanted some of that for the school. I knew there was a real gap in provision, and I am very lucky that my Senko was very willing to let me run with it and sign up for the pilot that rolled out within secondary schools. For me, RESTA felt different to other interventions that could be offered as a psychoeducation programme because it really centred on some core principles, some positive psychology, had lots of psychological theory that was delivered to us in training, which meant as a practitioner I had some real background information and key themes and knowledge that I wanted to be able to use in my sessions with students, which meant that the activities that we were doing, the discussions we were having, I was really secure in my knowledge that we were moving through the programme as we should be able to, but that it had sound psychological backing as well. From a trauma aware perspective, it has been a brilliant programme. It's actually changed the way I perhaps speak and deal with my own children as well as working with students at a secondary level as well. So the fact that in the training you have bags and bags of resources that you can use, and you wouldn't be expected to use every single resource for the connected session, for instance, in a 45-minute session. So it does allow you to tailor which activities are going to be either age appropriate or appropriate for your young person that you're working with. The support was brilliant as well with RESTA, having the supervisions, meeting up with my cohort. I developed quite a good relationship with one practitioner from another area as well, and we were able to email each other and sort of talk about how we were doing on the programme. I rolled the programme out with two very different students, one who wasn't attending school at all, was completely EBSA, emotionally based school avoidance, and he actually agreed to do the programme and come into school to do the programme. The impact was that at the end of that he felt he had more resilience to engage in his online tuition, seek further tuition and activities, and started talking about taking his GCSEs, which was absolutely massive for him. My other student who I worked the programme through with was a great attender, by all accounts model student, arrived every day, was diligent, hardworking, kept her head down, but underneath the surface she was a bag of nerves, really suffered with anxiety, I would say, changes to routine. She had her exams coming up as well, and by the end of the programme she felt really able to address those anxieties, and she picked what strategies worked for her. Sometimes it was acknowledging that anxiety was there and working through it, and other times it was appropriate to challenge that and do some thought challenging. So the programme allowed her to know why it's okay to be anxious about certain things, what impact it has on the body, what your brain's trying to do for you, but equally that it doesn't have to be something that we have to try and avoid. We don't have to try and regulate all the times, and where it might be appropriate to regulate and where it might be appropriate to go with it. And she was like a changed student by the end of the programme also. RESTA for me fits into the whole school approach, and as someone at the time who was studying to be a senior mental health lead, I was really invested in looking at what are we doing for whole school approach, and the tiered approach to RESTA, where you can be a RESO organisation where every single member of staff has had some RESO training. It's embedded in their principles. Lots of schools say that they want to create holistic outcomes and approaches to learning. in reality, do we see that? Do we actually see that as the universal offer? So RESTA fits very nicely, and actually I think needs to be up there with PSHE subjects, with pastoral support teams, and allowing colleagues, so teaching colleagues, to understand that RESTA and a student going through RESTA, it will support them in their academic aspirations. It will support them to feel safe and attend school and get the grades that they deserve and that they are capable of. We can't just teach academics without looking at and helping students to unpick and give them strategies to navigate traumatic times. They might be coming to school with lots of trauma, and that's what we see. So it's going back to basics about understanding the individual as a whole, but it's got to be up there, which means your senior leadership team need to really understand the principles of RESTA. They need to feel really confident in supporting practitioners who are delivering that alongside teaching colleagues who are perhaps teaching curriculum subjects. The intervention is longer, which I love. Sometimes on some of my other programs I run, they were limited to 6 sessions, half an hour. And that's really scratching the surface, isn't it? That's not doing the best job, I don't think, for these young people. So being able to really tailor my program, and again, I had a great Senko, so I had the freedom to be able to do that. I'm now not practicing in a high school, and I've moved on to a different role, but I am still involved in RESTA, and that just shows my commitment to the RESTA and RESO program, because I think that further education, secondary schools, APs, alternative provisions, need this program. It's something that I think, given the opportunity, can really have a huge impact, change young people's lives and help them to meet their academic aspirations, as well as just feel better about themselves and be able to navigate those rocky bumps in the road that lie ahead, that as adults we all know and have had to navigate. But wouldn't it be great if younger people had better skills than we did? So yeah, I'm a massive advocate of RESTA, and I'm always happy to answer any questions. Although I'm not there in person, if you really want to talk to a practitioner who's worked it through in a secondary school, then please ask Esther for my contact details.